sit down and put her foot in this so I could see where her toes were. And I left this just a little longer than what her toes are. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut that down. I'm not cutting it all the way down to that exact line because I'd rather grind it down. I'm gonna cut the excess off. And now what I'm gonna do, can I show you guys the trim lines? Let's put the trim lines on here, somewhat, okay? Do we think we wanna go distal or proximal to the met heads?
Distal.
You're gonna want to do distal so you can have for the foot pad,
What do you mean? I'm talking about medial lateral trim lines.
Which one's gonna be like lower?
Do you want it distal or do you want them proximal? So distal would be further away from the ankle joint, right? Proximal would be closer, okay? So do we want to encompass our met heads? Or do we want to trim these back behind our met heads?
Behind them.
Yeah, behind them.
We're sure?
No, you want to encompass the whole
You
met
sure?
head. The fact that you gotta encompass.
Give me a reason why.
Wasn't
Because
that
it's part of the
entire
orthotic.
reason we marked down those bony prominences?
I think, but just so you can have that freedom to move the end of the foot, I don't know, like, cause if it
It's
came-
honestly up to the clinician.
Oh.
Some clinicians will tell you to do it proximal, some will tell you to do it distal. Okay? So I'm gonna do mine. Let me see hers.
Distal.
Yeah, I'm gonna do hers distal.
Why did you pick that one? Why did you pick distal?
Because I can always trim it down further if I don't like it afterwards.
Okay.
If I go proximal to the met heads right away, I would have to add material and you can't do that.
Okay.
So, good question though.
So what's that line representing?
I'm gonna show you.
Oh.
Did you cut yourself?
Did I? No, I sent you guys all an email for extra credit opportunity between 4 and 6 today.
Oh.
This is what that was. Yep, I
On
sent
your
you.
hand?
Yeah, so I was in a bad accident, so
Oh,
you
okay.
can't get my arms.
Gotcha.
But my hands are fair game. So these are our trim lines. What does that mean? That means that's how far I'm gonna grind it down to start, okay? So I went way higher up laterally than I'm actually going to need to go. I went way higher up medially than I'm probably going to have to go. But again, I can take more off later. I cannot add. So I go a little bit at a time. So this is kind of my baseline. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the scissors and I'm gonna cut down pretty close to this. Probably just gonna, just cut this glue layer off is essentially all I'm gonna be able to do. And then I'm gonna grind everything down. So all that beveling, the grinding, the skiving we did in the beginning, you're gonna have to do on this. All right, so we're gonna go shoe machine. This you need to wear your glasses for, okay? This stuff kicks up dust and it gets in your eye very quickly, okay? The other thing I usually do is I wear gloves when I do this. I'm just too lazy to get them. But what you're gonna notice is I'm gonna grind it down here and I'm grinding it down here. What I'm gonna do when I grind it is I'm grinding it at basically at a 90-degree angle, okay? I want this to be flat all the way around, okay? And there's a reason for that, and it's just ease of access later, and I'll show you guys, okay? look at it, okay, the calcaneus, I want to try to make this heel section as even on both sides as possible, okay? And when I drew it on there, it was not, okay? The other thing I'm checking for is not necessarily back here, but I'm checking for the forefoot to be flat, because remember I corrected my cast, okay? So I'm not looking at how does this look, because if this were the case, okay? I'll show you guys over here, and then I'll show you, okay? If this were the case, right? It's almost like that would be neutral, but I'm not going off of what my calcaneus is. I need to go off my forefoot because I corrected the cast of the forefoot, right? So it's actually like that, okay? So I'm trying to make this as even as possible on the top, okay? The reason I grind this down this direction is because now I need to skive these edges. Would this fit in someone's shoe like this? No, you're adding almost ½ inch of material on each side of this, right? So we need to grind that down. So what we do is now I'll take it at like a 45-degree angle and make a point where this pink part of the trilam is, which I will show you before I go any further after that. But I'm gonna make a point here, and then I'm gonna skive that completely down to 0, okay? Any questions right now before I go on to the next step?
And that's gonna be from where the cork starts all the way wrapped around the
All the way
back
around.
of the heel.
Yep.
And the front part, we'll just probably like bevel that later or something.
Yeah. Well, no, this will stay.
Oh, that'll
This will stay flush as well. Yep. That will just be a 90-degree angle all the way around,
So you just-
because the toes aren't even going to hit the edge of it. It's going to go straight in your shoe.
Okay.
Okay. See how I've created a point all the way on top? I created that point, right? But see how this flares out? That's still gonna take up space. So now that I've created that point, now what I'm gonna do is take this to the grinder and I'm gonna go flush against that outside cork piece until I am all the way down to this pink section, okay? So now we've created that. But the problem is a lot of people just try to go up to the grinder before they create this point, and they try to get this all down, and then you tear up the pink part of this trilam, okay? You grind it, it just looks chewed up. So if you can get the point on there ahead of time, it's a lot easier to then grind this down afterwards, okay? Because you already know you're zeroed out here. So you know when you get down to a certain level, you have to start being careful, okay? It's not gonna be cork all the way up the sides, all right? Like some of you might have thought. It's not going to look like that at all. We're gonna see every part of that trilam on the sides of this, okay? If I can hold it like this, and I can still see the light blue, the bright blue, and the cork, that means I haven't gone down far enough, right? See what I mean? It should not flare out at all, okay? Should be straight flush or even a little bit curved in. sinking in when I touch it, okay? So if I put my cast inside of there, it gives something for it to push up against, and then it doesn't turn in on me. So there's starting to be a little bump right here between the pink and the blue, because the pink is so soft, it's just pushing in. So if I put my cast... See what I mean by shoot up? Very easy to do. That's good enough for right now until she tries it on. Okay. As far as the sides getting ground down, you can tell, right? You look at it now, you don't have those big edges bumping out the sides, right? It's still gonna be too big for her shoe, but I need her here to be able to figure out exactly what size it needs to go on. So the last part, if I put this on a patient right now, right? It's gonna wobble back and forth, right? So the last thing we wanna do is you have this big ridge right here, right? That we never ground down. Mm-hmm. We have to grind that down so that there's a nice smooth transition. When we grind that down, we want to also make sure that we're grinding the rest of this down also. Otherwise, the foot will be sitting like this, right? If I don't grind anything off of here, but I grind it off of here, we're gonna tilt that foot, all right? So what I want to do is grind this down till it's 0 here, which also means that there's going to be some ground off of the lateral side, most likely, right? Because unless you have a completely compressed arch, it's not going to come off the medial side. So we're going to grind some off the lateral side, and then you're also going to have some off the calcaneus, okay? If you had someone like with my patient who subtalar neutral was not in the impression whatsoever, right? And I had to correct it to that, then when you grind off here, if they are perfectly neutral, you'll have a little spot missing here where you can see the blue through, okay? If they were a little bit off-centered and it's tilted, you're gonna